Warning. This show contains adult political themes and language. Liberals and little children should cover their ears.
Welcome to Liberty Never Sleeps, where negativity never sounded so good. Now here's your host, Thomas Purcell.
Liberty Never Sleeps. I'm your host, Tom Purcell. If you'd like to reach me during the show, you can tweet me at LotusTom, email me at tom@libertyneversleeps.com, or join us on Facebook at Liberty Never Sleeps on Facebook.com. Well, we're getting ready now. It's the Memorial Day weekend. It's our last mini show for this month. We have enough. We got enough donations, so we'll be doing mini shows again next month. I'm glad to say. We also got some additional donations in the last few days, so we're going to give a book away. And I've decided, instead of doing a repeat episode on Memorial Day, the day of Memorial Day, I'm going to do a mini show on Memorial Day, or a live one like these, regular show. It'll just be a mini show, but I'm going to give away a book on Memorial Day. We've gotten enough in donations. I feel that we've made some progress. Ratings have never been higher for the show. We continue to increase our rating over last month. Every month we're increasing our rating. We're showing an exponential drive toward the top. And I wanted to take this time to say thank you to our listeners. Now today, so what I'm going to do Monday is I'm going to put all the names of people who donated any money at all into the hat. And this includes any donations we get over the Memorial Day weekend. And then what I'm going to do on Monday is, on camera, I'm going to put all of these donations into a hat and pull one of the names out at random. I've excluded from this all of my family members too, because they can get a copy anytime they want, right? So anyone who's donated money, I don't care if it's $1, I'll put your name in a hat. I'll pull a name at random. I'm going to cut off slips of paper. You'll see it if you watch the show on YouTube, and then I'll contact you Tuesday morning. That way everyone gets a chance to see the tape before the person gets contacted. And then you'll know who won on Tuesday morning, and I'll contact them and mail it out to their whatever address they want with whatever they say they want. Because when you donate money, I get a copy of your email address only. And then I can just contact you directly and say, listen, where do you want me to send it? What do you want it to say? That kind of thing. And I might do that in every month that we have an increase over last month. So this is kind of a thing where you could tell your friends, hey, donate $1 to the show, and if we get more than what we're at this month, then we'll donate it. We'll give a book away, and it's an inexpensive way. You'd buy a lottery ticket. You've got a better chance of winning than what you have on the lottery. And I don't know if it'll be worth anything, but I hope you enjoy the book. They'll be soft cover books. They're basically copies, like hard copies of what we sell in ebook format, and they're substantial books. They're like, some of them are 100, 200, 300 pages. The Conservative Chronicles are 300-page books, which are basically unedited books, are copies of my blogs in columns from the last 8 years. So those are the bigger books. And then I've got some ebooks which are smaller ebooks, only maybe 120 pages, and they're just copies in soft cover format of things that I've covered over the years and written books about. I'm going to give away a copy of Shotgun Republic, which is an analysis of the gun control debate, and an unbiased analysis. And we look at some statistics and we look at some facts. And it's a pretty good book. This is a book that's been out for a couple of years and kind of thing. I don't feel odd about giving it away. It's a good book. It'll give you information on what to say to that idiot uncle that always shows up at Thanksgiving and tells you that guns are the problem. So that's really the reason I wrote the book. So that's what we'll do on Monday, and then maybe I'll talk about a subject or two. Now today, I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about this Clinton email scandal. What Hillary Clinton has done is essentially privatize what should have been a government server. Now, she was the Secretary of State, and I will forgive her for not understanding that you shouldn't use a private email for government communications. That I'll give her, because it really is, to be fair, there's some question about what you could do on your private email and what you could do on your public email. And I'll be honest with you, there were some precautions taken. The problem is she was transmitting top secret information. I mean, like a for your eyes only kind of thing. And she was sharing that information with everybody that she was in her circle. That shows a complete disregard. It's one thing to have a private email server like in your house or whatever, and you send, because it's more convenient, because you're Secretary of State, right? You move it all around the country. It's a hell of a lot easier to go through your own server than go through a government server or something. And let's be honest, the government servers aren't very secure either. That's not the issue. The issue is she used private servers for top secret information and then knew she shouldn't have done that and tried to conceal it. That's the crime, okay? That's why she keeps saying, oh, I'll sit down with anybody. I'll sit down with anybody. Because at the time, and Barack Obama said, well, we weren't sure about what was legal or illegal at the time. Well, yeah, okay, I'll give her that. I mean, let's face it. In the last 8 years, there have been a lot of changes to emails and servers. Email and the security of it is completely gone on private email servers in the last 8 years, and that's changed a lot, hasn't it? So you got to give her that. I mean, you're talking about a former Secretary of State. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we all know that she's crooked as hell, but that's not the issue. You have to have respect for the office, and you have to understand there may have been some culpability on the part of government, and so therefore you give the Secretary of State the benefit of the doubt. That being said, even the Secretary of State in 1848 knows you're not supposed to share top secret information where other people can see it. And let's face it, Huma Abedin having access to that sort of information, that alone is a violation of your oath of office and a violation of the security of the United States. The only person that should see top secret stuff is you and the president and other cabinet members and that sort of thing, or people that were specific to it, like the House committee or the Senate committee. These are people that are relatively secure. So that's an issue. Now, the Attorney General has been very lax in prosecuting this case. If this was anybody else, Hillary Clinton would be sitting in an orange jumpsuit tonight trying to explain herself to a judge. If it was anybody else, let's face it. Remember the guy who made the YouTube video? The one that they blamed the attack in Benghazi on? Well, he had a minor probation violation, and he's sitting in jail because he pissed off the wrong person, Hillary Clinton. I don't know if the FBI investigation, even if it shows criminal culpability, they're going to do anything about it. There's a question of whether the Department of Justice, which is corrupt as hell, and another judge, we talked about this earlier in the week, has shown evidence of lying and misrepresenting the truth when they've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. So I don't know if anything will happen to Hillary Clinton. I don't know if she'll be ever arrested. I don't know if there'll be any culpability, because even if it does, Barack Obama is probably going to issue some sort of pardon or excuse for Hillary Clinton, or at least prevent the investigation from ever coming to fruition before the election. Because if it happens after the election and she wins, it's a pretty good bet there'll be a pardon issued to forgive her, and the Democrats get control of the country and the country goes socialist. However, even if she doesn't go to jail, her campaign is going to be train wrecked by this. Which leads you to another point. What happens with Bernie Sanders? Because Hillary Clinton has the delegates. Once she gets California, which is not a winner-take-all state, she's going to get 90 delegates between now and the convention. That's all she's short. So Bernie Sanders is making the argument, well, I'm going to convince those superdelegates to switch to me. It's a very real possibility that Barack Obama has bought the superdelegates behind Hillary's back, and they're keeping their true voting record, or voting, in other words, what they're going to vote, the concealed from the Clinton campaign and from the DNC, and we'll switch the vote at the convention, and Bernie Sanders gets the nomination. Now you got to ask yourself, should that happen? Should Bernie Sanders, what he's saying, and what I suggest may have happened, should that happen and Bernie Sanders get the nomination, you got to wonder to yourself, Barack Obama would have to be behind that, right? What does he know that the American public doesn't know? This is a thought I want you to think about for Memorial Day weekend, because you gotta think, if he's pushing this agenda and he wants a socialist president with Bernie Sanders, what's his game plan? The guy is 74 years old and is unelectable as hell. So what's his game plan? Is there something about the election? Is there something about Donald Trump? Is there something going on that we don't see? That I can't see? Because I believe that Bernie Sanders will never beat Donald Trump in a million years. Is there something going on, some swindle of the American public, or is it exactly as it looks like? Bernie Sanders is not going to get the nomination. Hillary Clinton is going to get the nomination, and she's going to lose. It's possible that all of this scandal, which is destroying Hillary's campaign, which probably won't result in any arrests, is all Republican engineered, and Donald Trump wins by a landslide. That's entire possibility. For instance, if Jeb Bush had been the candidate, Donald Trump, let's say Donald Trump didn't exist. If Jeb Bush had been the candidate, which is who they picked originally, they knew he couldn't beat Hillary Clinton. So all of this investigation and all this tearing into Hillary Clinton, and we know Hillary Clinton is going to get the nomination, at least that's the 99% chance happening, then this was engineered so that Jeb Bush, no matter what, would win. Now you understand why Donald Trump, they're so angry about, that he usurped their carefully set trap to regain the White House. That is the most likely answer. But there is that possibility that Barack Obama is playing us all. I don't know if he's that smart. I know he's a smart man, and I know he's very good at politics. I suspect it may just be that they're engineering this friction between Sanders and Clinton in order for you to think that she is an unbeatable candidate and it's blowing up in their face because of the investigation. That's probably the truth. But there is that possibility that Bernie Sanders is backed by Barack Obama. And if that's the case, why would you want a 74-year-old socialist? Because he's the vice president pick. You watch and you see who these candidates pick for vice president. And the vice president pick will reveal the truth to the American public on what the play is. If Sanders comes out with a vice president pick before the convention, I'll be shocked. If at the convention it flips and Sanders captures it from Clinton because of the investigation and the collapse of the Clinton campaign, or she's arrested or something like that, or they bar her from becoming president, anything like that, and Sanders gets the nomination, watch his vice president pick really, really carefully. Donald Trump, I think, is a wild card. I really don't think that he's a plant to, in other words, throw the election. Because it would have been, at this point, you would start seeing some things which would indicate that he's attempting to throw the election. But that's not the case. He's come out with some very conservative picks. He's discussing a legitimate campaign. And there are too many people involved, too many people close to Trump that are also close to the establishment, people like Giuliani and whatnot, that are on his side, have met with him and that kind of thing. It's you couldn't have fooled that many people. And besides, Donald Trump has a huge ego. It's all about him, isn't it? He would never allow himself to become a tool of the Democrat Party. Anybody with that kind of an ego, he wants to be president. He entirely does. He went in on this thing because he felt, well, the American people don't have a say in this election, and I'm going to do it. And then realized, holy cow, I'm going to become president by playing this card. I think that's the real truth of it. So it's going to be remains to be seen. But the Clinton email investigation, when the attorney general, not the attorney general, the inspector general came out and issued that scathing report and says, hey, she's guilty of a crime, and this she knew she didn't, and here's some emails that show that, and blah 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 this, she immediately backpedaled and is really in trouble. The main reason is she's been able to sit down with people. She says, oh, I'll sit down with the attorney, I'll sit down with the Justice Department, I'll sit down with the FBI, I'll talk about everything. But all of a sudden now she won't sit down with the Inspector General because he isn't bought. He's a guy who's not a Clinton fan. He's a person from the Grassley people, Senator Grassley. So that tells you right then and there, Hillary Clinton is guilty of a crime, knew what she did, exposed top secret information, and may have, in fact, committed more serious crimes once the FBI investigation is done, and we'll know that. That is what is says to me in the Inspector General report. But the important thing you have to take out of this is Hillary Clinton probably will never be arrested. People with $200 billion don't get arrested, okay? That's the slush fund. That's the Clinton Foundation. People who are married to a former president don't go to jail. They just don't do it. And you know what? I don't disagree with that, because you can't set up a precedent that people who were former heads of state, like a secretary of state or a president, can be put in jail, because then what happens is each succeeding administration puts the previous administration in jail, and you completely destroy the validity of the United States leadership. So I understand that. That's why you don't do it. That's why they didn't put Nixon in jail. You just dishonor him and he goes away. That's probably what's going to happen with Clinton one way or the other. But the important thing to take away from this is that she's not going to go to jail, but the campaign itself, in other words, her ability to politically campaign successfully, may be damaged from this beyond repair. And the real question is, she's going to get the delegates. She's going to lock up the nomination. What happens at the convention, and what happens with Bernie Sanders? That you got to be really careful of and real mindful of in the coming days, because that is critical, what is going to happen after the California election. Okay, that's all we've got for today's mini show. On Monday, I'm going to do another mini show, a little bonus there, because we've increased the amount of donations we have from last month, and we're going to give a book giveaway, and then maybe I'll talk about a little something too. Just be a short 15-minute show instead of just a repeat, and then we'll go into our regular show on Tuesday. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend. Think of our veterans rather than your hot dogs and hamburgers you're going to have. Think of all those guys over there that are still over there that don't have that opportunity anymore. Have a good one.